Okay guys, so I think I found the most Pinoy friendly and affordable big bike in the Philippines today. Yup, the 700 CLX by CFMOTO. There you go, the 700 CLX by CFMOTO. So I've been wanting to review this bike for a very long time now, and that's because of two main reasons. One is because of how good it looks, and number two is because of its price point. Because for 369 pesos, you're getting a lot for its price. For one, this bike is 700cc on paper. It has cruise control, it has dual ABS, it has Pirelli dual sport tires, and it even has automatic LED headlights, taillights, and signal lights. So with a price that low and a spec sheet that well equipped, I really couldn't help but think if there's a catch on how CFMOTO could price this bike at such a low starting price. And with all the good reviews I've been hearing, I have always been intrigued if CFMOTO could deliver what their widely popular NK400 did. Because that bike is what put CFMOTO up the top of our list when I was considering my first bike. And now that the CLX 700 is here, I'm gonna give you guys my honest feedback if this bike is well worth your money. So let's go! Okay, so first things first, this is the 700 CLX by CFMOTO. Locally, there are two colors to choose from, but globally, there are actually three variants for this bike. This one, the Heritage, and the upcoming version, the CLX Sports, which is due to be released sometime this year, and then the 700 CLX ADV version. This is the 700 CLX, and it's equipped with a liquid-cooled parallel twin engine. This engine is specially built for this bike, so there are no other engines like it in their CFMOTO lineup. Right off the bat, you could tell that they really built this engine for this model alone. And all I could say is that this is a beast of an engine. At around 5,000 to 6,000 RPMs, this bike gives me so much power that I was not even able to fully utilize it even on the highways. So yeah, there's no question about the performance of this bike. But before we dive deep into it, let's first talk about its striking appearance. Like I said, this is unlike any other CFMOTO bikes. The CLX in particular has this distinct cruiser-like retro modern style, which I'm a really big fan of. It looks very European, and it even feels European. I mean, just take a look at these brake levers. So it feels really good to the touch. It looks very sleek. It's by J1, same with the master cylinder for the brake fluids. And I'm really loving everything about this bike. Everything from the side mirrors, to the switches, to the brake levers, to the metal cladding. And yes, this is metal. It's cool to the touch. And the tank as well is metal. Also, you can see the engine frame here in between the tank and the fairings. So it gives it that muscular and chunky vibe. The leather, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the widest, if not the widest, that I've sat on or even seen. My pillion or my OBR never really complained because of this wide and plush leather seat. So yeah, it's OBR approved, and it's also Filipino approved because of its very low seat height. I'm 5'6" and I can stand with both my legs on standstill. Everything here is LEDs. These are auto-canceling turn signals. You also have your DRLs here, which can be switched on and off. And of course, your LED low beams and high beams, which automatically turn on at night. And you can even see the trademark X here for the CLX, which is a really nice touch. Looking at it from the side, you can tell it's a little bit low, short, and a little bit thick on its side. It has this certain distinct look to it that is unlike any other bikes in the market. As standard, all bikes come equipped with cruise control, so your toggle switch is here, and then you can press up or down to choose your desired speed. You also have your flasher and your high beams automatic turn signals, horn, which doesn't really match the look of this bike. I mean, it sounds relatively small for its macho looks, so this will definitely be the first thing that I'll change after this side mirrors. And of course, your eco and sports mode. And on the right side, we have the hazard switch, the daytime halo running lights, and the low beams. And of course, you also have some premium rubberized grips with the CFMOTO branding. And then looking at the dash, I think this is the part where CFMOTO saves some of the price, which is acceptable because you're already getting way more than what you could get from other brands. Anyway, even though it's not full EFT display, it's still tastefully done in my opinion because it still has this retro vibe to it that still matches the overall theme of the bike. So we have here two very basic buttons, the odometer, your trip meter, the engine temperature, my average fuel consumption on sports mode because I never really use the eco mode on this one. And I'll tell you guys later why. Voltmeter, clock, temperature for the outside. That's pretty much it for the user interface, but if I were to nitpick, I'd say some of these buttons are not as confidence inspiring. Like for example, the LED DRLs and headlights, it doesn't really lock into place. So you really have no other way of knowing if your DRLs or if your low beams are on, unless it's nighttime and you can actually see the LED beam itself. Same goes with the hazard lights. There's no depressed feature, so it's not as confident aspiring because you always have to look at the dash and see if it's engaged because it doesn't have that much tactile response that you get from other switches. For the mode switch, you can actually see that it doesn't lock into place, so it always stays in the middle, and the only way you can tell you've switched driving modes is by looking at your gauge cluster. But with all those combined, it doesn't really make me want to not buy the bike or less attractive because those are just my personal preference and you can get used to it once you've owned and rode this bike for a few days. Now let's talk about its riding performance. So up front we have a single disc brake by J. Juan's, but I really wish for a bike this size they could have added double disc brakes. But then again, that's me asking way too much for the price it's going at right now. So single disc brake up front and at the rear by J. Juan's. By the way, I really like this front garnish up here. You have your CLX logo here and then this metal and plastic combination, the front fender. That's a really nice touch, along with this gold or yellow front forks, which are adjustable by the way, but it's not like other bikes where you could adjust it on the fly, or meaning while you're riding it. For this one, you really have to stop, get your tools and adjust it accordingly. For suspension wise, I couldn't really say anything bad about it. It's a little bit stiff for me, but it's nothing that the fork adjustments can't fix. So yeah, like I said, a 693cc parallel twin engine. So you have your front radiator here, which I never really heard kicked in the whole time while I was riding it. Surprisingly, even while I was on traffic, unlike my Husqvarna's Vartpillen, which was obnoxiously loud. So yeah, this is a welcome change for me. And by the way guys, these are functional, so air can go in, maybe to cool this metal fairing. But yeah, I really like that they went with a functional air vent. And at the back, the CLX design carries over with the X here and the LED combination headlights, which looks like a letter H at night. So you can see, ganyan siya. And then looking at it from the rear, it's really chunky. So you have a big tank up front and then a clean looking tail here at the rear. Hence, the mudguard is placed here at the bottom, which really cleans up the whole look of the rear and of the side profile. So yeah, really good job here, CLX. This is maybe my favorite angle of the bike because it shows how macho the bike is. So yeah, I can't really think or find anything wrong to say about this bike, especially on its price point. This bike has a really comfortable stance. It's very upright for your upper body, and then your legs sit naturally like you're sitting on a chair. So I don't really see any problems going on long rides with this bike. Particularly, I also like how thick and wide the foot pegs are, so it does put a strain on your feet when you're riding it on traffic and on the highways. So yeah, this bike is really perfect for Filipinos and our hellish Manila traffic. But how about the riding performance of this bike? So we have here Eco and Sport. I've kept it at Sport the whole time because it felt like you're not using the full potential of your bike whenever you're in Eco. So from the day I got it until now, I kept it at Sports. And all I could say is this bike is a beast. It pulls really gentle when accelerating, but once you hit the 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, you can literally feel the bike pull you back because of how much power it has. So yeah, engine performance is definitely not a question. Also, surprisingly, this bike is very nimble and light. As you can see, I can move the handles relatively light and quick. And even though it looks really big and wide, it doesn't really translate that much whenever you're riding it. And fun fact guys, this bike is 10 kilograms lighter than the NK400, which really boggles me because this is a 700cc bike and the NK400 is a 400cc bike. So I'm not sure how CFMOTO managed to shave off those 10 kilograms of weight, but it's definitely a welcome change because CFMOTOs are known for being heavy and this bike proved it otherwise. And unlike other bikes in the market, despite its size, it didn't really heat up too much to the point that I could notice it. It was very bearable and manageable, even while I was riding on the hot sunny days during traffic. But yeah, I did find one thing that I didn't like about this bike, and it's this side stand, because it's way too long, so the bike doesn't really lean too much on its side. So there's high chance that this bike might topple over or roll forward if you didn't park it at a flat enough surface. So yeah, true story guys, I almost dropped this bike like 3 times because I couldn't find a flat enough surface to park on. But that could just be me, and that's a relatively easy fix for a bike this good. Fuel consumption wise, full tank was around 500 to 550 pesos, and I emptied all that from my house in Antipolo to Tagaytay and then back. So yeah, it's not really a fuel conservative bike, but it could be if you drive it in eco and not sports mode or wall mode with what I did. So yeah, those are some real world tests on this 13-liter tank on a 180 to 200 kilometer journey. And finally, for price availability naman, since this is a China-made bike, parts are readily available and accessible according to Motostrada, which handles this bike. And judging with what they did with the NK400, I'm pretty sure Motostrada will do an equally good job with after sales. Alright, so that's pretty much it. So this is the 700 CLX by CFMOTO. And what can I say guys? I couldn't really find anything wrong with this bike. It's a really well built, and with all that's going on with that price point, this bike is a really good deal for first time riders and for those who are looking to upgrade to bigger and more powerful bikes. Pretty much blown away by this bike. It looks European, it feels European, it performs great, it looks great, and above all, it's very affordable. I can't wait for CFMOTO to release later this year the other variant, the 700 CLX Sports Edition, and of course the one that I've been really looking forward to, the newest bike in their lineup, the MT800 Adventure bike. But yeah, that's all from me today guys, and if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button for more videos. See you guys in the next episode.